Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to the Roundtable Talk podcast. Hal Nunn,
Ruben Castellon,
and Chris Holland,
inside the studios of the Christian1057.com. WCLN, more about them in a minute. We want to thank Rayford Guns for being our inaugural sponsor. And we're going to talk about them too because I got something I want to mention. We're glad to have Rayford Guns on as our inaugural sponsor. And continuing today, we hope you'll check them out inside the gas station at Skull Road in Johnson Mill, 5609 Fayetteville Road. Right there, let's see, the water tower on the left, right before the Aquatic Center on the right. If you're coming out of Rayford, it'll be on your left just past the Aquatic Center. It's the gas station, Skull Road, Johnson Mill. Inside the store, Monday through Friday, 10 to 7. They're normally at shows on the weekend. See their Facebook page, which is supposedly up and running, I guess, and now again. Now I got to check, but I ain't even seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled it out, so
all right.
This is good.
We tagged it Rayford Guns. If you don't find Facebook, at least it gives you the map. If you don't find it on Facebook, go to X, and in the little search bar, put Rayford Guns. If you don't find it there, call this number, 910-709-3950. That's Rayford Guns, and we are glad to have them there. Are we on? Are we rolling? I don't see anything. But anyway, next up, Hoke edition of the North State Journal. We'd like to welcome them to continue to support us here on the Roundtable Talk podcast. The Hoke County edition of the North State Journal is the only statewide paper in North Carolina covering local, state, national, and world news as well as college and pro sports. Subscribe today by calling 919-663-3232. Another way, you can go to hoke.northstatejournal.com. Obviously, Christian 105.7 FM. WCLN, your 24/7 source for hope and inspiration, and streaming, app, web, online, the whole 9 yards. It's what faith sounds like. Christian 105.7. And also our
Facebook page,
stuff.
our junk.
Our junk.
We got a Facebook page and a website.
So I'm curious, is the
I don't see it.
the newspaper the sponsors are they still looking
There it
for a
is.
writer?
Who?
A writer? Are they still looking for a writer?
North State?
Yeah.
We have a local person.
Okay. I was just
It
wondering.
hasn't been officially announced yet. If you subscribe to the paper and you had it the weekend after Memorial Day, you would have saw it. But we're trying to get the official announcement when her first story is written, and that should be coming up here pretty soon. Okay. And this next story, actually, if you go to the HokeMediaGroup.com, it'll be a little tip-off. HokeMediaGroup.com, you'll see a story up there on Vets for Vets. However, in the newspaper, we're working on an agriculture story for summertime. Corn's popping up everywhere, and
That reminded me, Vets for Vets. I was behind a vehicle yesterday that had a license plate holder that said Combat Veteran Vets for Vets.
oh,
So I don't know if somebody had that made
us.
or if that's somebody. Yeah, I was going to ask, are y'all selling merchandise now? Or?
we hope to when we become incorporated and official. Well, we've become incorporated. We just don't have our tax exempt EIN number yet, and the EIN number.
So you're incorporated, or you're
We are
a charitable trust or a charitable.
is a 501c19. It's for military veterans only, and 75% of the membership have to be combat veteran or war veterans. And
It's like the VFW.
it is. It's basically like the Legion, the VFW, and then there was one other. Not Legion. VFW, there's a list of them on there that does it. Anyway, Vets for Vets. Myself, Dan Nocher, John Harry, Darius Small. We think Dale Martin's going to be on our crew, and then John McCrae and the golf tournament coming up this fall is going to go there. But still, until we get the actual nonprofit stuff, we're funneling it through either Legion or VFW. But it's really interesting, that 501c19. I read the entire 22 pages to try to.
A lot of regulation.
It's a lot of regulation, but it's basically, if you are helping veterans in any way, you can get this tax exempt status. And what we want to do is we want to like we said before, we want to bolster the 3 veteran groups in Hoke County, or 3 groups that support veterans. Rephrase that. and we want to work with other veteran organizations like the Adaptive Motorcycle Guys, and then the Combat Motorcycle Association, and anybody else. I understand we have a branch or a portion of the 82nd Airborne Association in Hoke County.
Oh, yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to use that Vets for Vets to kind of help everybody.
Right.
And then also be able to go out if there's a veteran that needs some help at home and maybe needs, some food or a refrigerator or light bill, stuff like that. Now the VFW can do that.
Right.
But on other things, they're not able to just go in and make a vote and do something. It's a little more restrictive. Where Vets for Vets will be pretty much, if it's helping a veteran, if I need to buy you a case of water, I can buy you a case of water and then go claim it in our group, or
Right.
use our money to do
It's
it.
authorized funds.
Right. As long as it's helping a veteran in any way. And I can't believe nobody's done it since. Hoke
I
County
don't
being
think
so
people
close.
just didn't know about it. So let's talk about vets.
Please do. I'm
Ironically
gonna share
enough,
the thing
it
on our
reminded
page.
me. I got a call late last week, from a judge over in Moore County. He has been designated as the newly appointed Veterans Court judge. So if you guys don't know what Veterans Court is,
Please.
it's a diversionary program. Think about teen court here in Hope County. You got a minor infraction, you go before a judge, you go before a jury of your peers, and it's a diversion program. They recommend you. It's a all-encompassing. It's not like a get out of jail free card, but it's coordinated with the VA, where they provide case managers, therapists, doctors, whatever's medical side of the house.
Mm-hmm.
There's the judicial system itself, and then there's also the mentorship program. And so if anybody's out there, I've got about 9 people so far that have volunteered.
Oh,
But
good.
if you're interested in being a mentor, and I kind of equate it to, I've never been in the program, but from what I've heard, the program is operated. It's kind of like AA, where you have a buddy that you call. You're having
sponsor.
A sponsor, right? I think that's what they're called, like a sponsor. Hey,
We got 9 people.
I've got some issues, or I just need somebody to talk to. I need a ride to therapy, or I need a ride to the VA, or something like that. Just a buddy, somebody there on the other end of the phone during this program. And I'm sure it'll develop lifelong friendships and
No
camaraderie and stuff like that. But if you're interested, just I don't even know. Yeah, just
I'm pointing at Chris.
tag us here
Get
on
him. Tag
on
us
the,
here. Send us
yeah.
a message.
Yeah, and I'm gonna probably about the middle of next week. I'm gonna get a hold of the newly hired director and give her all the points of contact, and then in July we'll have like an information brief, and the intent is to have this program up and running by September.
Wow, that's a quick turnaround
It
too.
is.
But they've been planning this for a while. This is
It
not.
is.
I
It
mean,
is.
Even
They've
though
been-
we just learning
Right,
about it.
they've been trying to get this program in the district, in the judicial district. They've just received the funding. They've just appointed the judge, and so that's kind of like step 1. Now we're in step 2, gather the resources, make the plan, and then implement the plan in step 3
That is really
in
cool.
September.
And that's another thing that we talked about in our mission statement for Vets is things like ride to the doctor, helping with appointments and claims, and even we got a veteran service officer, and you need to use them. Right, look up the county website. But you know how many veterans there are in the county,
There's
and
a lot.
and a lot of them, some of them don't feel comfortable going to the government office or the county office.
Right.
Some don't feel comfortable going to any big facility. One thing I learned, remember when David Rouser was our representative, because the lines were drawn, which maps are being being looked at again.
Right.
David Rouser, who's down at the coast, we went to a veterans. I was on his veterans appointment thing, and we went down there, and you wouldn't believe the amount of people that don't want to go to where there's a crowd.
Right.
They just don't want to be around a lot of people. Like, remember I mentioned about Hoke Fest? I saw a veteran, and he looked like he was having a little bit of trouble. And
Tense. Yeah.
little tense, I'm gonna bust somebody's tail. So I just went over and said, "Hey man, is everything all right? Anything I can do for you? I'm just picking up my trash like I always do." But we need that in this county. We need it in Cumberland. We need it in Moore. We need it
So
all over.
I think they have the Veterans Court in Cumberland.
Oh, they
But
already
but
have one.
You're right, but they're a different judicial district than us. So if somebody in our district, what is our 19?
19,
I think
48,
For the-
18,
48
Yeah.
is the state is a house.
19D?
Yeah,
19D, 18, 19D.
19D.
19D. Yeah, so we're getting it more Hope County.
All right. Hot enough for you, Ruben? You good?
It's pretty
You
warm.
hanging tight?
It's pretty warm. I'm really disappointed though in the weatherman.
Uh-oh.
I mean, the weatherman cannot predict weather for anything. I mean, there was like 16%. So last week it was like a 60% chance of rain for Wednesday, this past Wednesday. And so I wanted to put something on my grass to get rid of all this grub and stuff. And I got a lot of grass, so I don't want to use my own water. And so I was preparing for it. And then in the morning, yesterday, I see 16%. I said, oh, man, I'm not going to be able to do it. And it's about 4:30 in the afternoon. I hear thundering.
Flash flood warning,
Like,
severe thunderstorm
phone going off.
What happened? and it went from 16% to
80?
to like 90%. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to do better planning. How can you not know this? They have all these degrees and everything. And I mean, I could have done a better job. And so I missed another opportunity because, when in this area, when you get one drop, you don't have 30 minutes.
No.
When you get the first drop and it's like, wow, what was that? It's coming down.
It's
So
coming down.
I was really disappointed because it was the type of rain I needed to put that on the ground.
Right.
So
You didn't get it down?
no, I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
when you get that big drop that hits you,
It's
you
too
don't.
late.
It's
Find
too late.
shelter. Find shelter.
It's too late.
I know I got mine back in the spring when we did the weed and feed stuff, and I saw a storm coming, and I said, honey, I got to get out here and do this. She go, you're going to do it out in this heat? I said, yeah, we got to get it. Got to get it down.
Yeah, but I mean,
Grass
the
was good.
weather, the temperature is really no different than last year and the year before, and it's
A little high humidity, but
The humidity
it's
seems
typical.
higher, and the heat seems a few weeks hotter. And the only way I can judge that is for Hoke Fest.
Yeah.
Because last year, Hoke Fest was nice. It was comfortable. It
this
wasn't too
this year it
hot.
rained
gonna
and
say-
it rained and
It
it
rained.
Yeah, I was gonna say a couple of years ago, Hoke Fest, we were out there in jackets.
That was when it was in spring.
Is
I
that
think.
what it-
Remember
like
we moved
early
it to
March or something?
yeah, we were doing it March, April, and that was probably not the brightest idea. But then COVID came, and they wanted us to move it towards the summer, and that's where we've been since 2021 or 22. Is the first right when the week school lets out.
Okay.
And anyway, all right. So weather, sport, we got it all covered. Let's go ahead and get into the hot topics of the day. And I believe the school board and the county budget and all that good stuff is flying around, and everybody's talking about it. Ruben, school board member, chime in, don't chime in, whatever.
I'm
you
not
wanna
talking
do.
about it.
School board. Well, we can talk about the budget. That's for sure. I'm trying to understand the budget and get it a little bit better understanding here. Chris, you can help me if
Okay.
not. All right. So they first of all, none of it's final. I think until tomorrow morning, right? They got another
it?
meeting tomorrow.
I think it's
Thursday?
next week, isn't it?
I think it's tomorrow morning.
Oh.
They had something.
They have until July 1st. So
Right. Yeah. They have until
whatever it
July
is.
1st. They do want to get land, right? Going to put some money aside for some land, I believe.
That's the
$4
plan.
million.
$4 million.
That's the plan.
Or no, they asked for 4 or they got 4.
I know before you'd ask for 6.
So I think they asked for 4 and they got 2 million. Does that sound right? Sounds about right. He's not nodding. He's not saying yes or
I don't
no.
remember.
Come on, man. Give me some land.
I can talk
You
about
wanna
it.
do
I can
land
talk
banking.
about it when the county commissioners
Approve it.
approve it. Then
All
we
right.
can talk. Right
Okay.
now, we're gonna get hot.
That's
for
right. We're
nothing.
live.
can't
We're live.
advocate.
All right. All right. I don't want to make any.
I'm not gonna make no predictions, no nothing.
Well, this was from their Monday meeting, so
Right.
I'm reading off the News Journal. So everybody, hey, no teamwork here. News Journal subscribe. Hoke North State Journal subscribe. Both of them. Presentation given to the commissioners from the school board. This is my notes, not the paper. I think it was Catherine Shepard that wrote it. Give her full credit. And it's a lot of information. So get you a copy. It's probably gone now because it was last week. Oh, no, it's this week.
This week.
It's this week. Presentation given to the commissioners. Select school board should give some. I think that presentation that the school board gave to the county commissioners, I think they should give that to the community. The exact same presentation. What do you think?
Who, the commissioner should?
No, the school board.
We did.
Yeah, that's what the public hearing was all about. That was
We
for the
we
community.
had a
This was
meeting.
at- this
We
was-
had a meeting to have that. It was posted on the official website that we were having. That the administration was presenting that to the school board. We had, and you know how many people showed up?
How many?
The board members and the staff.
Oh, that okay. I understand that.
So how do you propose presenting
Well, they
it to
said
the
they
community?
made a video or a present. I imagine a PowerPoint. I'm not
Okay.
trying to put words or anything in anybody's
All right.
mouth.
But what Ruben's saying is, prior to presentation to the board of commissioners, the administration presents it to the school board. It
That's
says,
right.
Here's our plan. Vote for it. Yes or no.
And well, during that time, we don't vote.
Right.
There's some adjustments.
Right.
You know.
I'm trying to simplify it for the sake of time.
I got it.
But the
All right,
process
moving on.
is they do it, you approve it, then it goes to. But there was 2 opportunities for the public to see it. Is the point? Once at the school board meeting when it's presented by the administration, and once at
Well,
the
you
county
weren't-
commissioner.
No,
planning.
no. Really, technically speaking, if we go under that pathway, it's really 3 times. So there's a meeting where the superintendent presents the proposed budget to the board.
That was a while back.
That was the month before.
Yeah. I'm talking about this week. It's written about
the
in
month
the paper.
before we
So
voted.
May.
Okay, and then during that meeting, there's discussion as to yes, this, adjust this, blah blah blah, and then the superintendent, based on the guidance that he receives from the school board, then there's minor readjustments here and there, and then on the next board monthly meeting, the board as a whole votes on it because it's
Which was
already
June.
it's already there. So that is the second time. Okay, then the third time that the budget is exposed to the public is the county commissioners. Three times. So there's some allegations out there talking about the public has to see. The public has had an opportunity. Okay, when the superintendent first presented the budget the very first time, and it was
May?
30 days, I think.
Yeah.
30 days lapse, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I know it was some time between that
The presentation
that
and you
presentation and the actual monthly board meeting. There was a large gap, and during that time, if the public had any comments, they could have reached out to any school board member. They could have reached out to the superintendent.
Wasn't it posted at the admin office? I heard that-
Under the
That
finance
was-
department.
This was
Right.
a little tiny footnote in my notes. It was
Hey,
a real tiny.
But what do we talk about? We talk about
I
this
know,
every
I
time.
know.
When we get started
We
on
just
something,
roll.
we just keep on going.
All right. So they requested per pupil, and we have 9,500 students. A per pupil expenditure, and what it was before was $750 per pupil.
Yep.
They requested $1,010. Okay, and they approved at that time $825. So
Right.
they went up $75 per pupil. Is that $750 to $825?
Okay, they
My
went
Cary
up,
High
but
School math.
yeah, but they didn't do the 110 that they wanted, that they requested.
Right. They did not. They
Correct.
went. They did. They went. They did. Now in that part, they did not meet them halfway. But anyway, I'm going there. I'm getting there. Now they've added another $7, and they made it $832. $7.
$7.
So it's $832 per student.
Yeah.
Now this is where it gets a little hairy. So, no pun intended. The school board requested an increase of stipend and for $100.
Salary increase of $100 a
Right.
month.
$100 a month. It goes to the county commissioners, and the county commissioners, I believe it was Alan Thomas and Harry Sutherland, and said, we need to make it more. And one of them said, add a number. And they added a 0. Then they said, well, no, add a 1. So they went from giving them an extra $100 a month to $1,000 a month. or maybe 900 plus the 100 make 1,000.
Increased $1,000 a month.
Right. So
Bottom line.
So they've increased it from what were they getting paid? $275, $250, $225?
$200 for
I know
transportation.
you don't want to talk about it.
And I want to say $375, and I think the chair gets an additional $25.
Right. So it's
'Cause
about
she does have more duties.
right. I'm just talking about the pay for it. That's $375. Now it's $1,100 for regular members and $1,400 for the chair. Now my brain and my
if
carry.
it's 1,000 plus 375, that's 1,375. Carry math.
My carry math. Look. Okay, Mox Nix. Let me just say
Right.
1,200.
Okay.
You went from 300 to 1,200.
Okay.
And my brain says that's 3 or 4 times more per month.
Okay.
All right. You've really, really increased it.
Okay.
All right. They're saying it was long overdue. One of them said 10 or 15 years, long overdue. But you went from this little amount to this massive amount, which they say gets them in line with other counties around us.
Correct.
Remember the little chart
Yeah.
thing? All right. You get the News Journal, go to What's Happening Hoke if you want to see it, because we shared it on both. All right. So the per pupil addition of $7 was to cover the board stipend. The board stipend come out of the per pupil? Or does it come from some? It's all
No,
local funds.
I don't think so. I think the per pupil student goes towards
You're mixing
Material,
things
yeah.
up.
I don't want to
materials.
mess it up either. I
And-
really don't.
Well, that's
I'm trying-
why I'm not going to speak about
The
certain
per-
things
the per-
until it's final.
Yeah,
Okay.
the per pupil
All right.
supports the student. Staff salary is completely separate. The board salary is separate from the staff, the administration, the teachers, and all that. That's all different pots of money.
Well, they're giving teachers and staff a raise, but it's
Correct.
coming out of the per pupil.
No, it's not.
Well, okay.
Okay.
I will
We'll
correct.
follow up on that.
Yeah,
we'll
please.
put a
I
note.
would.
We'll
I
put
would.
a note on that.
People are asking me.
Yeah.
People literally
Yeah.
ask me, where does that money come
So-
from? And I'm
It
like,
comes from the salary budget of the administration, or of
I just want
of
to
the
clarify
staff.
it. All right, so it says local supplement up from 7% to 9%. They gave the supplement for teachers. We always fuss and argue that our supplements are low, and they've been low forever.
Right.
And it's 7% to 9%. That
Of their salary.
yes, that's 2%. You're giving them
Increase.
a 2% increase.
Okay.
Lord have mercy. You gave the board 75% increase.
Okay,
Well, let's-
hold on. You know, again, you, and I'm not gonna say you. Those Facebook warriors, you are comparing apples and oranges. You are comparing apples and oranges, and let me tell you this, okay?
Don't get in trouble.
No,
No, wait, you
I
get
don't
in
speak
trouble.
for nobody but myself.
There you go.
Everybody knows who I am. If you got any issues, I mean, you feel free to to contact me. Just don't go out there and kick my mailbox again. And so this is the way you need to look at it, okay? Don't compare the salary of each school board member with a teacher pay, because we don't even make probably 20% of what a teacher makes.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. And
Okay.
everybody knows that.
Okay, so which I've always everybody knows. I didn't even know we were gonna get that. I was gonna get paid. To my surprise, when I got the first paycheck, I was like,
remember.
"What is this? This is your monthly
Salary.
salary."
Whatever.
I was like happy because I was thinking, I said, man, it's going to be a lot of gas. Because if you're an
Tires,
active,
gas.
if you're an active board member, you're going to spend gas, and you will change your tires, replace your tires. Because I know I have unnecessarily. Because I am amongst
You're
other
burning
board
up the
members.
road.
Amongst other board members, when I get invited to activities, I go. Nobody's paying me for that.
Right.
But I want to, people want to see me, so I go. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Yeah, we agreed, everybody agreed, when the chair put out the $100 thing. Everybody agreed. Nobody said, no, I'm not for. and
Well, there
let's
were,
say, and we say $100. Okay. Now it is the county commissioner's prerogative to decline, to accept, or to increase. Just like when I requested, of course, the board requested, I simply influenced my colleagues for us to put $6 million on the line for land banking, and we got denied, period.
zero.
This time it looks like it's a different ball game. So we're really concentrating on how much money should an effective politician get paid to do a good job, because we know from previous when we were campaigning, there were certain board members, they were nothing more than rubber stampers. And I can honestly say, for the most part, at least 3 board members told her to include me. We have been very proactive since we were elected. Now, are we going to satisfy everybody? Absolutely not. But here's the thing about it. I paid a total of $8,900 out of pocket to run an effective campaign. By the grace of God, I got in, which I didn't even think I was going to get it. I got in. I've been everything that I said I was going to do with collaboration has been implemented. So I can't take credit for this. It's the board. I don't do anything without the board.
But the things that you stood for have come to
pass. And then after a while, when I continue my job effectively, contrary to popular belief, I'm doing my job effectively because we have comparisons from the past. Mm-hmm. Okay, I influenced the decision to implement a policy committee. In the history of mankind in Hope County, the school board never had any committees. First committee, parent advisory through the superintendent. So we have accomplished that. So my question to those that are up in arms is, how much is a monthly stipend salary reasonable for you to expect for your school board members to effectively and not be rubber stampers to do their job? And if you think we should not get paid, why don't you run for office? And then when you get done with your tour of duty, then we could talk about how much money you have lost. I didn't do this for the money.
No.
Everybody
also
knows
had
that.
A kid that was there, but now they're not even there.
And they're not. So I'm finishing my tour of duty, and I don't feel like I have a calling anymore, because everything that I said has been accomplished through as a board, as a whole. And I don't know. I'm having an issue trying to justify why I need to run again. But people get wrapped around a stipend. And yes, I do agree that it's been overdue. But if you only knew how much work, I'm going to say this very clearly. If you only knew how much work I do, nobody's paying me money when I'm reviewing 10 policies at a time in my own time. If you think that job is easy, why don't you run? You run.
We're still on the first topic.
I know. You run. And here's the whole thing. For those individuals that might have an inclination to go up in arms and say, I was against it, this is a simple solution. Don't take the pay. Decline the pay. Simple solution. Donald J. Trump doesn't get paid to be the president. He declined. Well, he gets $1.
So I would just say also, if people have issues with the school board of any kind, whether it's student performance, whether it's board pay, teacher pay, whatever, once a month, there's a meeting. You can go there and talk to the board directly.
That's another point we did mention before we came in, was the last school board meeting. I don't know how, there was a lot of people at the June meeting, I do believe.
But most of them were students, teachers.
Well, they were doing
assistant. We were celebrating.
How many would you say were not? And we're at the meeting, but we're not like an employee or a kid. Maybe 10.
Most of the time, very few.
7, 5, 7. All right. The other point is, I watch on YouTube, and the last June 9th meeting, we looked it up a while ago, was 143 people. Watched the school board. Viewed the school board meeting. So 7 or 10.
And 9,000 kids, so at least one parent of each kid.
So
And here's the whole thing.
That's the point I want.
You don't
community,
have
right.
to. You don't have to wait to the regular monthly meeting to stage your business if you have an
No.
issue. One thing that has completely transformed with the new board members that came in when I came in was that we are open to the public. We act on emails that we receive. I know that. I know that that's what's going on. Now I can't speak for all the board members, but I can say at least for two that I know that they're very active. You know, and so you don't have to wait. The agenda is put up in advance. It doesn't pop up on the day of the meeting.
They've gotten really good at
Yeah,
that.
so if you go through the agenda and you have an issue, you can always email somebody, one of the board members, or you can go to the monthly meeting and you are allowed 3 minutes. But the only issue with the public comment is that it is the policy, the board's policy, that board members, we will not interact with the public during the public comment. It doesn't mean that a board member is not going to take your information and email the superintendent later on. Hey, let's look into this. You know, it doesn't
Or
mean
it
that's not gonna-
doesn't mean nothing happens. Now, if a board member wanted to say something, they can, and I've seen that happen. Happened to me last time. All right, let's end the
That's
school
true.
board. Bus and maintenance, $18 an hour, same. They're looking at there's a whole list of things they're looking at for capital outlay, maintenance, and building requests, and that's what I really want to get into. We ain't gonna have time. Bus garage, and what's the other thing? That was it. All right, planning and zoning. We mentioned last podcast about the Townsend Road stuff and all that was going on there, but there were 2 or 3 other requests that were in the planning and zoning meeting on the first public session.
Right.
And they had errors in the reports that were going out. Errors were in the public notices.
The notifications.
The notifications. There was questions about the dates. We talked about that last time. Was it done within the 10 days
10
or something?
days.
10 days or something like that.
No later than 10 days before, no earlier than 25 days.
That was a minor little tweak. The advertisements being late, the errors in the notice, and the parcel numbers were inaccurate. Now, let me tell you, the parcel numbers, if you've ever tried to look up a parcel number on a piece of property, you get a number wrong, it could go from, I had this 1.5 acre lot to a 20 acre lot.
Well, that's how I found the property where I live at. It was the lot sale was in the wrong location, and when I went into contract with my builder and he did a survey, he calls me and says, "Hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but we just went into a contract with the wrong lot."
Oh, see?
Like what?
Now, I'm not for or against. My point is, parcel numbers can really get messed up.
Yeah,
They can really get messed up. However, my concern is how many have been messed up on purpose.
I don't know. I mean, that.
You know, I am not gonna. I will never.
Accuse somebody without evidence.
If you know me, you'll know that I would not even allege anything unless I had evidence. So, you know, I can honestly say this: that you ever heard that old saying, "You get what you pay for"?
Yeah. Well, so I will tell you, and this is probably a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, I was in a zoning board meeting where the contractor that was trying to rezone some property had also included the adjacent property in the request.
It might not even be a county employee.
The employee didn't catch that because the owner of that property showed up and said, "Hey, that one over there, that's mine. I don't want that zoning." So, I mean, yes, errors happen. Are they intentional? I wouldn't say that.
And you know what? I just thought about something. Here's the whole thing. These people that serve in the zone planning and zoning, I might not be using the right verbiage, but they serve at the pleasure of the county commission.
They're employees, yeah.
Of the county commission, because they're appointed for X amount of years.
No.
No, that's an employee. That's a hired employee.
Yeah.
Okay, but they still work for the. You know,
They hire 'em, the county manager.
Anybody that works for the county ultimately works for the county commissioners.
Yeah.
Okay, you can read
The
between
county manager
you
is their
can read,
buffer.
You can read between the county commissioner.
She's the manager.
The manager. Who does she work her? Who
She
does
works
work?
for the commissioners
Okay.
directly.
So my point is that they hire certain individuals, but the thing that people should look at is to see where the problem is. Are these people required to have some type of certification, training, what?
Education,
Or they just
experience.
Or they just say, "Hey, you want to be on this?" Oh yeah, and so, it's like hiring a plumber that doesn't know how to do, that's not certified for plumbing, and you hire him to do a job, and when it messes up,
You get mad at him.
You blame the
so
electrician.
that's my point. Why that's one of those jobs that's really very low profile, but it has a major impact.
It does.
Oh, major impact. All right. So that's on the planning and zoning of the other two projects. The Townsend Road, it got tabled. People were complaining, obviously, about low water pressure, traffic, buffer zones with the boundaries, and where it's.
Fort Bragg boundary. We talked about all that last time.
Well, the buffers. No, I'm talking about. Is it right away? Is the word I'm talking about? Your property and my property is called something.
The easement.
The easement. There was that. Wildlife, water and fire safety, changing of the foundation of the county. That was one woman's point of
with
view.
that, the company that was hired to do the land use plan
That was
is
next.
going to post something in this month or next week or whatever. It's a public comment period, and it's going to be open-ended questions, not just yes, no. So if you have a comment about those issues or any other issue, go to that website, Hope County.
Yeah. I don't know what it's called.
.org.
We'll post it on our
Yeah.
page if we can remember to do so. My point was more on the Townsend Road issue. Those were the last comments I was mentioning were mentioned on the council. One of the things they said, we're not going to shoot ourselves in the foot and put up cheap houses. So that tells you what you're looking for if you're looking for something in the Townsend Road area.
You see who else lives on Townsend Road. They're not going to put up a bunch of cheap houses.
That's
on
what I'm
Townsend
saying.
Road.
Right
I don't think there's cheap houses in Townsend Road.
Well, they are talking about those were going to be townhouses, though.
Right. See, they want to rezone it and put more houses on smaller lots.
Footprint, yeah.
And the price of homes now, they said between 500 and 700,000, but some are saying
said
it was.
that?
It's written in there that the homes are between.
The
I think the contractor actually said the 500, 700,000. But the families are
Not for
saying
a
it was
townhouse
between
in North
600 and
Carolina.
$1 million. Not for the townhouses, the houses around it.
Oh, yeah. There's some expensive houses
Right.
over there.
And the other part is they're private
Some
roads.
elected officials live
Let
on
me
that
ask,
road.
the private road, if you have a private road off of Townsend,
Yes.
compare it to a private road off of 211. Apples, oranges, right?
Absolutely.
But-
absolutely.
You got people living at the end of these roads on 211, remember, that couldn't get mail, couldn't get ambulance. Fires were complaining that, or especially ambulances were complaining that if it's a private road in a high dollar district, you know it's going to get taken care of. If it's a private road in lower area,
I wouldn't say that. Private, okay, but
Private
private
roads
roads
and
are maintained by the landowners.
correct.
They are.
So if a rich person lives on a private road, they can afford to lay down
Or
gravel
him and the other
or
rich folks that live on
whatever.
that road.
Right.
But
So I mean, okay.
my
what's
concern is
that?
what about the private roads where you've allowed the builders to build and they've just not maintained them?
Those went away in 2012
I don't think they're
or
gone.
15. Oh, I know they're not. I'm telling you what the regulations.
Oh, they
said.
were built back
That
then.
no, I'm saying what they were supposed to be. Our new subdivision, the county has a subdivision ordinance, right? 6 houses or more or less is a small subdivision. You can build a private road.
Okay.
Now, the state of North Carolina says you ain't supposed to be building any private roads anywhere because they're tired of people, like you said, not having access to services. Mm-hmm. And then everybody's calling their representative going, hey, I got potholes, I got ditches in my road.
Who's going to fix
It's a
it?
private road.
One person was saying,
But-
It's a private road.
And then that's a material fact. And I've seen some properties sold where the homeowner didn't know it was a private road until they went, hey, what about these ruts out here? Oh, yeah, that's your
That's
fault.
your
Your
responsibility.
responsibility. What?
It's
What are
like-
you talking about?
One lady posted.
Yeah, you can lose your
week-
license for that.
One lady posted a week back. What person in the county do I go to about putting in speed bumps?
Yeah.
That's not the county. Number one, it's DOT. Anyway, and then
Unless it's a private road.
Unless it's a private
And then
road.
you can put in a barricade if you wanted
All right,
to.
what was your? We're
fast-
already. That's two
Yeah,
topics.
I know.
And we're done.
There we go.
So what was yours?
For those that don't know, the North Carolina Supreme Court upheld the law passed last year by the legislature that the state auditor is now the appointee of the State Board of Election members, as well as the appointer of local school board of election chairmen. So, with that said, this month the State Board of Elections has turned over to a 3-2 Republican majority. They have already addressed in their first 2 weeks of being in session. They've already addressed an issue about incomplete voter registration forms. So back in 2022, and this actually started back in 2020, but in 2022, a grassroots election integrity organization compiled all of this data. There's hundreds of thousands of voters.
Was that voter integrity people? The Integrity Project people?
There's several different, but there's one called We the People.
That's a different one.
Yeah, but anyway, and they're actually from Western North Carolina. Bottom line, there's hundreds of thousands of incomplete voter registrations, right? So by federal law, if you have a driver's license, your driver's license has to be on your voter registration. If you do not have one, and there's where's the caveat, if you do not have a license, then it has to be the last four of your Social Security.
That's right.
And if you attest that you don't have either one, you're probably not an American citizen.
That's right.
But you check a box and say, I have neither one of those. And that's the only way, and then the county or the state will assign you a unique voter identification number. However, these integrity groups found these hundreds of thousands. They fought all the way from 22 up until right before 2024 election, and the State Board of Election kept saying, well, nothing to see here, nothing, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you remember last year, a new voter registration form came out, because if you look at the old one, it said at the top, everything in red is mandatory. Well, that piece of information was not red, but it was in a red box, right? So people was like, oh, well, that's just optional. Well, now it's all in red so that people know that. Anyway, so that was one of the results of these lawsuits. Okay. However, the board at the time, run by the Democrats, said it's too close to the election. We don't have time to scrub these rolls to figure out if these people are actually residents of North Carolina, if they're American citizens, if they're even a real person.
Or they're just if they're eligible to be voters or not,
And that went into play with the Supreme Court case,
You're talking about with the runoff with those.
That was sort of
that
in
was
play.
That was some of the complaints. Was there was out of 200,000. So they're going to mail out 200,000 mailers to identified people that are missing information. They're going to be given three options.
I can already see.
There's going to be lawsuits still.
Yeah,
they're going to be given. Yeah, they're going to be sent a postage paid, return address envelope to provide their information. We'll see what happens.
18%.
But of those 200,000, 60,000 voted in the 2024 election, and that was where some of the lawsuits for the Supreme Court race came from. They said, hey, you've got 60,000 people voting in our election that you don't even know if they live in this state. You don't know if they're American.
or they're eligible to vote.
Eligible voters.
Well,
or not eligible. Questionable.
Anyway, so kudos on that. July 22nd, our local board is going to be re-sworn in. We've added one Republican member to the board. Gene Shelnut is going to be our chairman. Emily Widener is our returning member, and then Wayne Yam is going to be the new addition. So we'll see. And they've all talked about election integrity. So there's about 2,500 of those same issues here in Hope County. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. We'll figure it out.
All right. Good. Did you have anything else? I'm gonna hit some hot ones real fast. The constitutional carry was vetoed by Governor Stein. We mentioned we didn't know a lot about him and his weapons.
Now we know where he stands.
Now we know where he stands. He vetoed constitutional carry, and
he vetoed the immigration bill.
He vetoed the immigration bill. Our sponsor, Rayford Guns, I called to to talk to them a little bit about that. There's a lot about constitutional carry, who are for and against, and you'd be sort of surprised when you find out some of the organizations that are against it passing because they run concealed carry classes.
Right, it's financial impact,
And
right?
it's a financial
Well, think
impact.
about it this way
Like the
too.
shrimpers.
Think about it this way too.
Right.
If you get rid of the requirement to be able to carry concealed carry, and say South Carolina doesn't have the same law, and you go carrying your weapon concealed, but over there in South Carolina you're required to have.
And that's the caveat of the law. CCW training will still be available for those instances. Hey, I want to carry it out of state to a reciprocal state. I can have a license, so I can go to Florida. I can go to
The federal law that Hudson was he
Yeah,
a key
yeah,
sponsor?
yeah.
or
But that just means that a license is recognized across the 50 states.
to
what
be
I'm
able
saying
to carry,
is,
not concealed.
in North Carolina, if it became constitutional carry, you need no license at all. But like he said, you put it in your pocket and go to South Carolina, they require a permit. You're breaking the law.
And I'm not
But-
saying that that's the case, but I'm just giving you
right.
I mean, giving
A
us
what
an
if.
example.
Yeah, what if?
Okay.
But like I said, there is the requirement to still provide that training for those that want the thing. One point I want to make: in the state of North Carolina, you can open carry
That's right.
at 18 years old.
Right.
Right. So now I put my my shirt tail over my pistol, and now I'm a threat because I'm untrained or I'm unlicensed or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's a mock schnick.
All right.
point.
Another note that Rob wanted to mention, Rayford Guns. If you are looking for some concealed classes, he can give you some very good tips on ones that are here locally who are very supportive. So go by Rayford Guns or give him a
He
call
might
and
be
check him out.
watching now.
He may be watching right. Hey, Rob. Let's see. Filing for the city elections is coming up for city. I think there's 2 seats on the city election
What is
and the
it,
mayor.
July 14th.
July something. I didn't get the date. Is it?
I haven't
the
heard
7th
anybody
rings a
that's
bell.
wanting to run, so I don't know.
Well, it's
Uh,
unaffiliated, but
yeah,
we all
but
know.
still, we all talk to people that want to run,
Yeah,
and
But-
it's
I understand the 2 seats:
Charles Allen.
Wayne Willis,
yes,
and the mayor.
Well, he's
the
retiring.
mayor's retiring.
He's retiring.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so
Well, I mean, I've had conflicting stories on that, so
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. Sort of like Garland Pierce, right?
right, he's going to retire every year.
Closed session. Let's see. Radio network. Oh, Hoke Emergency Radio Network. I'm going to learn more about that. This is from our buddy Guy Soggy. Do you see either of y'all have a radio?
Ham radio.
I'm going to get back to the ham radio. Hoke Emergency Radio Network is going to be on at 7 p.m. on Sunday nights. He's trying to get something going there before big hurricane season.
But do you have to have a radio?
You got to have a radio.
Yeah.
You got to have
They're
radio.
pretty expensive too. That's
And
pretty
some of them
expensive
are, some
equipment.
of them aren't. I'm going to look into it. Can't even get into the Supreme Court in Tennessee, the gender affirming care,
Well, you just did.
Medicaid block, South Carolina, from Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
That was a big
That-
victory. And
Well,
really-
but that just happened today, so we can talk about that next week.
yeah. So anyway, all right. Any alibis? What's
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
up?
Hey, tonight is our Hope County Republican Party rescheduled monthly meeting, and then July 5th we're going to have a cornhole tournament fundraiser out at PK's, starting at 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. for registration check-in for those teams that are pre-registered, and $200 first prize, $100 second prize, and come on out, play some cornhole, and then enjoy the fireworks.
Don't you have a chicken sale coming up soon?
And a
That's
bulk
August
sale.
9th.
August,
Yeah.
a big one.
We have
And then
another.
the Vets for Vets golf is in August.
Okay.
So a lot going on, a lot happening. All right, we want to thank everybody. We got through, guys. It's not too bad. Want to thank Rayford Guns for continuing on with us today. Hoke edition of North State Journal. Obviously, WCLN and big producer man Dan. Thank you so much. Check out our website, RoundtableTalkPodcast.com, Facebook page Roundtable Talk Podcast. For Hal Nunn,
And it's episode 135.
135, 135.
Ruben Castellar.
Yep.
And Chris Holland.
We'll see you next time.